And now, Mercy in Motion, a special edition of Sarah's Stories from Da Nang, Vietnam.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Sarah's Stories from South Asia. I'm Sarah Hill reporting from Da Nang, Vietnam. For about a week, we followed P.E.T International and Hope Haven International. Even a world away, their stories still hit very close to home as they gave people a very special gift, the gift of mobility.
In so many cases, these people have nothing. We know the extent of the problem here is just horrendous.
Nguyen Nhan is a 9-year-old Vietnamese boy. He's never had a wheelchair, never attended school.
Many times the children become too large or heavy for a parent or a caregiver to carry them around, and so they're left at home.
A single wheelchair can cost more than a year's salary. And even if you could afford one, a wheelchair's wheels are often too thin to navigate bumpy jungle roads. So it's not surprising the 20 million people worldwide rely on something or someone to get around.
What we're finding is that virtually none of the mobility providers throughout the world are targeting toward that most desperate of all people, those that are in the rural areas.
Worldwide, volunteers are lifting people off the ground thanks to a hand-cranked cart. It's called a P.E.T. P.E.T stands for Personal Energy Transportation. This is how the P.E.T cart works. These handles right here are used to steer and power the machine, and then right below it is a brake that slows down. And then over here on the other side is a parking brake of sorts. It's a piece of wood that you stick in, and it keeps all of the wheels from moving. In the United States, this man would have a wheelchair. But in Vietnam, one of the world's poorest countries, Thuong Nguyen had to learn to walk without legs. This father of 6 works as a shoe repairman. Thuong lost both legs and the use of an index finger during a landmine explosion in the Vietnam War. Thuong doesn't make enough money to begin to cover the cost of a wheelchair. So in place of legs, he uses 2 wooden stools.
It is not right that fellow human beings are forced to crawl on the ground all their lives, perhaps, simply because they stepped on a landmine somebody else planted, simply because they got polio that was not their fault. It's only right that they should receive the best possible appropriate mobility that we can give them.
These P.E.Ts are really designed to go where there aren't any roads.
This one lady was so grateful, and she said, it's just going to be wonderful. I don't have to crawl through the mud anymore when it rains. And another lady said, yeah, I don't have to crawl over the sharp rocks and get all cut up.
On this day in Da Nang, Vietnam, the P.E.T project teamed up with Hope Haven International to distribute P.E.Ts to people who have good upper body strength and traditional wheelchairs to those who do not. Now, the P.E.Ts are popular in part because of this compartment right here. It allows women to carry water, or perhaps they can carry vegetables to market, maybe even store a shoe shine kit.
Providing mobility is life transforming. Just because these folks have difficulties traveling does not mean that they don't have tremendous skills, entrepreneurial skills.
This man's not able to walk on his own, but he sells lottery tickets. This P.E.T means he no longer has to drag himself through puddles to get to his customers. And Thuong doesn't have to crawl through the streets to deliver shoes. After assembly, volunteers pack the P.E.Ts with items we throw away.
It's just unimaginable.
We don't preach sermons with P.E.Ts. The P.E.T itself speaks of our love.
P.E.T is a faith-based ecumenical group that started in 1994. Mel West heard a story more than 10 years ago that touched him so deeply, he began a push for a pet. A missionary told of how he almost stepped on a woman in Africa.
Going along, and suddenly right in front of me was a woman on her stomach, and there was a baby sitting on her back or tied to her back. And as I parted the grass, there were two little kids behind her. She was just not really crawling, but dragging herself with her arms and kind of helping a little with her legs. Obviously, she couldn't walk. She had come for 3 miles that way to find mobility. It's a great story. It chokes me all up just thinking about it.
In Africa, Honduras, Vietnam, victims of landmines, polio.
I was very surprised to get the first victim of Agent Orange.
Today, 7 states, Mexico, Zambia, and South Africa now assemble or make parts for the pet. This global phenomenon now reaches people in Nigeria, Malawi, Bolivia, more than 60 countries worldwide. A missionary in one part of Africa estimates his area needs at least 100,000 pets. But there are only volunteers and donations to turn out a few thousand a year.
20 million out there, and we're only making 2,000 a year. We're going to have a lot of catching up to do.
Roger Hoffmeister was a volunteer physician during the Vietnam War. Decades later, he's still treating amputees, but with a different kind of instrument.
A person's been on the ground for 10, 20, 30 years, unable to move, and all at once you put them on a pet and you change their life, just like that. There aren't very many things in medicine or anywhere that makes that kind of an impact that immediately.
The Pet Project is all volunteer. From the retired airplane mechanic who designed it.
You're not designing something to make money or get recognition. You're designing something for that person you don't know and will never see.
To the volunteer 80-something director who works 11-hour days.
Joy is that deep satisfaction of putting someone else first.
Seal bearing.
Steve Bima is a cattle farmer.
Have him sit in and then we'll...
Bima is the volunteer director of Pet International, the umbrella organization for the 14 different pet workshops around the world.
Very difficult to describe in detail what it is that we do, but I carry this card and it pretty much tells the story.
A story he shared with his cousin V.
That just blew me away, and I'm real proud to be part of the team.
Is this his first wheelchair?
A team that includes Lynn from Wisconsin.
Well, I think because of my disability and being a wheelchair user, it also shows those individuals what they can do. And I think seeing someone who is a chair user that is there serving them also gives them that dignity, being able to look right directly into their eyes and be able to tell them that they have value, that they are somebody.
The reward that you receive when you see those faces never gets old.
From the hands of those who build them, box them, pair them, and share them.
Tell the story.
It takes many hands to set mercy in motion, and many more to keep lifting lives.
I realize that you give somebody a life is the most wonderful experience you can have, really. And that's what I feel whenever I see someone ride off with one. There goes another life.
Mong trở nên như Ngài xin độ lòng con.
You can give the gift of mobility by helping to build pets, providing supplies, creating parts, and by making a contribution. Every $250 raised changes someone's life. Here's how you can help.